Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Coach Cody podcast. It's crazy to think we're already halfway through June, more than halfway. I don't know where the time's going, but I'm okay with it. I feel like this whole year I've had so many hurdles thrown at me. I've just been waiting for the next month as if it's going to be a clean slate, but then life's like, nah, we're gonna keep challenging you. But hey, challenges are something we generally think are something that gets in our way, something that is going to delay where we want to go. But ultimately, challenges are actually what push us forward because it makes us stronger. And I'm not saying, what doesn't kill us make us stronger, because when it comes to trauma and stuff like that, what doesn't kill us just makes us more traumatized. But I'm talking about challenges in health and fitness, right? When life throws hurdles at you, you have to learn to pivot. And the more you learn to pivot, and the more you learn to navigate challenges, then the more confident you feel in yourself and the more likely you are going to be able to push through almost anything. Anyways, that was a complete ramble, but today I wanted to talk about a little thing called GLP-1 medications. And you might know these medications as something like Ozempic, for example. And this is a hot topic in Hollywood. It's all the rage these days to point out which Hollywood stars lost weight using Ozempic. Did they use Ozempic or did they not? Do they have Ozempic face? From Kelly Clarkson to Oprah to and everybody. Our latest hobby these days as a society is to try to figure out who lost weight with Ozempic. I don't know what is wrong with us as a society, but let's talk about this medication. Maybe you're thinking about taking it. Maybe you know someone who's taking it or is thinking about taking it. So I just figured I would dive into a little bit more information, pros, cons, who should take it, who shouldn't, and some opinions that you can take or leave. Yeah? All right, so let's dive in. So what are GLP-1 medications? So first of all, GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1, and this is a hormone that is produced in our gut, and it plays a key role in regulating our blood sugar, our appetite levels, and it also helps enhance insulin secretion and inhibit glucagon release after eating. So this can help us with weight loss. It can help us with blood sugar management. So this is why it's beneficial for those with type 2 diabetes, and it actually did start off as a type 2 diabetes drug. But then we found, hey, this actually helps with weight loss, and that's how it has become so popular, to help those with weight loss for those who need it. Although I will say, I think it's gone a little bit overboard. But let's dive into how it works before I get into that part of the topic. So how these medications work. So mechanism of action. So these medications work by enhancing insulin secretion, like I said. So when blood sugar levels are high, inhibiting the release of glucagon to prevent excessive glucose production, and slowing gastric emptying to make you feel fuller longer. So obviously it helps with appetite. So for the impact on blood sugars, these actions help keep blood sugar levels stable, enhance overall appetite, reduce overall appetite, and stick to a reduced calorie diet, and make it more manageable if you're dieting so you're not feeling so miserably hungry. It slows that gastric emptying, and if you've ever been constipated before, you probably don't feel too hungry. That was me a couple weeks ago because I was taking medication that was affecting the motility of my gut, and I will tell you I was 0% hungry, but also a little nauseous. Anyways, so by addressing both blood sugar and appetite control, these medications offer a good little dual approach to managing your weight and or possibly your diabetes. Maybe you have both situations going on. So it's a pretty good tool for those who need it. And another thing too is that so our bodies regulate hunger and satiety through hunger hormones. This is why sometimes some people have a harder time losing weight than others. So think, for example, I don't want to compare humans to dogs, but this is the easiest way I can think of, creating some sort of picture that makes sense. So some people have bigger appetites than others due to the way that you might the way that your hunger hormones are signaled in your brain, right? Let's think of bulldogs, right? They will eat anything and everything. They don't care. They'll just like suck it right up, and they are always hungry. If you give them a full bag of food, even if it kills them, they will eat it. Then we have Chihuahuas. They're pretty picky. My dog, who is half Chihuahua, I could leave the food out for him all day, and he would just eat when he was hungry and stop when he wasn't. So the same thing goes with humans. There's some who don't have as much appetite control. Maybe the signaling with the hormones, something's a little different, off, I don't know. But in the same way that you might find that certain dogs are good at regulating their appetite, there's some humans that are better at regulating their appetite. So these medications can also come in handy with working with the other hormones that are also involved in appetite. So, appetite, hunger. I was like, where am I? Okay. So ghrelin, known as the hunger hormone, signals when it's time to eat. So when you're dieting, your ghrelin levels are going to probably be a bit higher. And that's why you feel that hunger kicking in, right? And then we have leptin. So that signals fullness. And GLP-1 plays a crucial role in reducing appetite and promoting satiety. So leptin is the hormone that tells us, hey, you're full. And I know for me, when I get to a certain body fat percentage, my leptin levels, I do not feel hungry. But not everyone has that occur, or there's something called leptin resistance. So your body can actually just not really respond to that leptin hormone that is supposed to help you feel satiated. So again, these medications can help with this. So GLP-1 is released in response to food intake, helps signal to your brain that you're full, thereby reducing overall food intake and aiding weight loss. So it works in conjunction with your other hormones to maintain a balance in hunger and satiety, making it a key role player in weight management. So now that you kind of know how it works and all that fun stuff, what are the pros of it? I mean, obviously, I think what I just said was essentially the pros of it. But yeah, it can help you with weight loss. It can help you with blood sugar regulation. It also does have potential cardiovascular benefits. So studies suggest that GLP-1 medications may offer cardiovascular benefits, such as reducing the risk of heart attack and stroke. But I also think that it has these benefits because it can help you with weight loss. These are all things that the risks are increased when you are overweight. Heart attack, stroke, even cancer. There's a lot of risk when it comes to being overweight, unfortunately. So the studies that show that this can help with that is probably most likely due to the fact that people were able to lose weight on them. So yeah, it just helps improve your metabolic markers, blood sugar, weight, things like that. Yeah. So those are the pros, which is a pretty good pro. So what are the cons? Like any medication, there's always going to be some downsides, right? It is a medication, and we can't escape all of the side effects, unfortunately. But you kind of have to, consider for yourself. It's like picking the lesser of two evils. What does it make the cons worth it for you and your health? If so, cool. Anyways, I'll actually go into the cons. So, possible side effects. That can be nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and constipation. Why are diarrhea and constipation always like a side effect? It's a wild card. Which one are you gonna get? You gonna get the shits, or are you gonna shit a brick? Anyways, so yeah, those are the possible side effects. There's also some documented possible pancreatitis that's been thrown around in there, but I think there's more studies that need to be done on that one. But anyways, so these side effects are actually higher when first starting the medication or increasing your dose. So they might chill out a little bit as you are on the medication, but these are pretty common side effects to look out for. So other cons is that, most of them are injection. If you don't like needles, it's not going to be fun for you. It's not like a huge needle or anything, but yeah, it could be an injection that you just don't want, and unfortunately this will include having to give yourself injections. But I do think they're coming up with some oral options, or they have some oral options out there. I just am not familiar with them, so I'm not going to go into those. Cost and accessibility. So insurance does cover some of these medications, but I'm seeing more and more that they're starting to cover them less, or maybe they cover them for a short amount of time, then you lose weight, and then you're no longer going to be covered, or they're no longer going to cover it for you. So that's sucky. Another con is that once you come off the medication, there's a pretty big risk that you're going to gain the weight back. So this might be a medication that you have to stay on long term. And there's not a massive amount of studies about long-term use yet. So we might not know the downsides of that for a bit. But just know, if you have to be on it long term and there's accessibility issues and the cost issues, that can be a pretty big barrier. So another con is that, it's not a one size fits all. It's not a magic potion. It doesn't necessarily work for everybody. Some have, experienced too much of the side effects, and then you just can't actually use it because it's just, maybe you're nauseous or you're vomiting and you're like, this sucks, right? Also, like I said, people respond to it differently. So what works for one person might not work for another. So those are also things to keep in mind. It is still not a shortcut. It helps you not feel as hungry, which is a really big benefit, but you still got to do the work. So you still want to make sure you're eating healthy, still want to make sure you're exercising, and that's the best way you're going to reap the benefits. There's no medication or pill out there that will ever be a substitute for eating right and exercising. So just so everyone knows that this still is not magic. So who should consider using Ozempic or GLP-1 medications? Well, people with type 2 diabetes, definitely, because it helps regulate the blood sugar. And then also those who are struggling with obesity. So when it comes to obesity, usually it's more, I wouldn't say it's not a last resort anymore, but I would say if it's not for someone who has some vanity pounds to lose. So if you have 5 to 10 pounds to lose, I definitely do not think that it is something that should be used for that. I think it is something that should be used for someone who's been struggling with obesity for a really long time. Maybe you have a lot of health problems due to being overweight, and these can definitely be helpful. It's almost, I wouldn't say it's a replacement for, I'd say, like gastric bypass surgery, but it works on some of the same hormones that having surgery can. I can see it as being like a better option, or maybe like let's use a GLP-1 medication before we have gastric bypass surgery and see how that works. Obviously, it's a lot less invasive, but again, it doesn't work for everybody. So some might just be like, we needing to go the surgery route. Anyways, so yeah, my opinion, it shouldn't be for vanity pounds. There's just too many side effects and too many unknowns for someone who doesn't already have health issues due to the weight issues. I think it should be reserved for those who actually have health issues due to being overweight or obese, like heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. Those are all things that are pretty urgent, and I think medication is more appropriate for those situations, for those people that have an urgent need to get the weight off. And especially if maybe you've struggled your whole life with weight, maybe you've tried everything and you just can't seem to get the weight off, or you've gotten the weight off before but then you gained it back. That's where these medications can be beneficial. So if you are considering it for yourself, just, make sure do your research, know the possible pros and cons, talk to your doctor. Ultimately, you and your doctor are the only ones that can decide whether this is right for you. But another thing about using it for vanity pounds, I don't think we're having as much issues as we were at first, but there was a lot of people who used the medication for diabetes management who couldn't get the medication because there were so many people trying to get their hands on it for weight loss. Not necessarily because they were in dire need for it, because they were going for the vanity pounds, right? So I think, we just need to be aware of how we might be affecting others around us. But I don't think there's as much as a shortage now as there was when it first all kind of exploded. But still, medications are serious. They come with some side effects, consequences. And I think those are things to consider when you are thinking about your health, what you're putting into your body. And the best way to lose vanity pounds is either one, you stop caring so much and just be like, hey, I'm healthy, I feel great. Or just know it's going to take a little bit of suck to get to where you want to be. You might be a little hungry. You might need to work a little harder in the gym. You might need to be more consistent. But you can get there without medication. And so that about wraps up everything when it comes to the GLP-1 medications like Ozempic. And they're really popular, and you're going to be probably seeing a lot of them. You're going to see it thrown around even more. And I have nothing against anyone who does, just for the record, I don't have anything against anyone who has gastric bypass surgery. I don't have anything against people who use weight loss medications because we're all adults here. We get to choose what is best for us. And, whatever works best for you, whatever gets you to where you want to be, that's your life and your decision. So I'm not one of those persons that's like, the people that use this medication just don't want to do the work, because it's not true. You still have to do the work. It's not any different. You still got to be in a calorie deficit. You still got to eat right and exercise. So it's not a shortcut. I don't see people who had gastric bypass surgery as people who didn't lose the weight naturally, or people who take this medication that didn't lose the weight naturally. I don't care. I just like seeing people succeed and be happy and healthier. The goal here is just to be healthier. And if this medication or surgery or whatever gets you to that goal, then I am here for it. All right. So all that being said, again, still best way to improve your health and lose fat and all that stuff, still gonna have to pay attention to your exercise and nutrition. So that's priority, always number one. But if you need some help, some medications are available that might be worth checking out. All right, so that wraps up this episode. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on Spotify, feel free to give it a star rating or leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Super helps me out. Give me a follow on Instagram, Mr. Coach Cody. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for sure. And thank y'all for listening. Peace out. I will talk to you next time.